What's up, you amazing people? I hope you're having a fantastic day. You are, of course, watching and listening to the Daily Dirty 30, also known as the DDT, here on The Kevin Lee Show. And I am your host, Kevin Lee. Now, for those of you who do not know what the DDT is all about, let me take a moment to explain. You see, it's a show that airs live at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and it's where I get to spend 30 minutes telling you, the viewer, all about the things that bother me today. What do I get out of it? That's easy. It's therapeutic. Why should you tune in? That's even easier. It's entertaining. Sound like a fair trade? Good. Let's get to it. What's up, you beautiful people? Happy Friday. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. I know this guy is, and I just wanted to welcome you all to the Daily Dirty 30 here on The Kevin Lee Show. This is a show that airs every Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And runs approximately about half an hour. Usually a little more, sometimes a minute or two. Not too bad. Anyways, I am, of course, your host, Kevin. And today we're going to jump right into the headlines with our first one. And what might it be? It's a follow-up on last night's NFL debut. So, I'm not sure if any of you actually watched the show the show last night, or if you saw it, but we did cover a little bit about what was going on in the NFL. Last night on Thursday Night Football was indeed the debut of the entire NFL season. Now, why is this important? Well, first off, it's important because we didn't even know we were going to have an NFL season. There was a lot of debates, a lot of issues, a lot of questions if we were even going to have it. Now that we have it, that's wonderful. That's fantastic. Nobody could be happier, especially not me. Okay, but there were some issues. So what kind of issues did we have? Well, let's make it simple. Well, first here, you're going to see a picture of the Kansas City Chiefs on their sidelines during the national anthem. All standing, basically. But that isn't exactly what happened. So NFL fans boo a moment of silence for BLM. The Houston Texans walk out during the anthem, and a Kansas City Chief takes a knee in front of the 17,000 socially distanced spectators as the league opens the 2020 season. Now, we're going to play a little video right now of that point where the fans booed. I'm actually going to turn the volume up a little bit because it sounds like on most of the videos I found, it seemed like someone turned down the audio a little bit, but we'll play it and you'll see exactly what happened.
Thank you.
Okay, so there you go. There you have it. There's the big boo part. It wasn't a real big boo, but again, you have a stadium that's usually filled with 77,000 screaming fans. And in this first game, they only allowed 22% capacity, which came out to be about 17,000 fans. So because of it, you're not going to hear a whole lot, right? But there was booing, obviously. Now, again, I'm not making an excuse for the fans. I have a feeling, it's my guess, I'm just surmising here, that potentially what happened is that they were just tired of all the crap, right? The thing is, the reason why people at least I'm speaking for myself here, right? When I go to watch sports, may it be football or baseball or pick a sport, I'm doing it because I'm trying to escape the moment, right? I'm trying to do a moment just for myself, something I can do to not think about my everyday life, not to think about driving in a car in traffic, not thinking about having to pay bills or deal with all the other nonsense of adulting, right? I just want to go have a few drinks, eat so much food, and watch a game. That's all I want to do. Chances are that's all these fans want to do as well. But again, I understand the league wants to do certain things, teams want to do certain things, players want to do certain things. So there's going to be some give and take, right? Now, one thing which actually is surprising to me is you don't really hear it covered so far. But, you know, and I'm going to be honest, I missed the beginning of the game, and I didn't do it on purpose. I was actually just kind of doing some research, and all of a sudden I realized it was like, I don't know, 7:30, 7:40, or whatever it was, and I missed the first like 4 or 5 minutes of the game. So I missed all the pregame stuff. I missed all the quote-unquote controversy. But even looking into it, I really was not able to find much about the Houston Texans walking off the field. So apparently what happened is during the pregame warmups, they were on field, and then when it was time to line up for the national anthem, they all walked off. Maybe that's that's the way of protesting, but maybe it's the way of saving face, so they're not on film kneeling or doing something they shouldn't do. So instead, they just go into the locker room. I mean, I'm going to call ridiculous right there. I mean, to me, that's a very cowardly thing. Like, if you want to protest, then protest. Like, if you want to take a knee and that's your thing, then take a knee, right? Don't go waddle off into the locker room to save face. I mean, that's just a BS way of trying to do things, right? Maybe it's just me, but to me, that's very upsetting. That's probably the most upsetting thing here so far. But I digress. So the Texans did remain in the locker room during the national anthem, and the coordinated display meant to bring awareness to Black Lives Matter and other social justice initiatives amid national unrest over racial injustice. And again, many of the 17,000 fans in attendance could be heard booing during the pregame demonstrations. Now on to story number 2. Why people don't trust the government. So this woman you may or may not recognize, her name is Lisa Page. Yes, that Lisa Page. Oops, my bad. So she is part of this issue that's going on right now. I don't know if you heard or not, but at least 15 phones belonging to Robert Mueller's team, including, and I hate how they describe her here, FBI lover Lisa Page's, were wiped before being handed over to DOJ to be checked for anti-Trump bias. Why isn't this a bigger news story? Right? I don't care if you're left-leaning, right-leaning. That doesn't matter to me. I'm neither. You know that. If you watch a show for more than an episode, you know that I am not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm not even an independent. I'm a libertarian. Why wouldn't this be transparent? Why wouldn't this be on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News? I didn't even see it mentioned anywhere. I stumbled across it on a website, and I researched it, and sure enough, it's true, right? At least 15 phones belonging to this team, including Lisa Page's, were wiped before being handed over. They were wiped of information because of, these are the excuses given, forgotten passcodes, irreversible screen damage. Really? Loss of device. What happened to your device? I don't know. I just lost it. You're an FBI agent. It's kind of important that we be able to have that device. I just misplaced it. Intentional deletion. At least that's honest, right? Or other reasons. Ridiculous. Andrew Weissman, Mueller's deputy, accidentally wiped his phone on 2 occasions after entering the wrong passcode. I'm sorry, but if you believe this, then there isn't much hope for you. Like, this is the most gullible crap that you'd have. You would have to be like a 117-year-old woman who hasn't seen another human in 10 years to fall for this kind of crap. Obviously, they're lying. Now, again, you're going to lie. You're going to try. I mean, it's what Hillary Clinton did, right? She wiped her servers clean. And people fell for it. Everyone's like, well, she was just protecting herself. They were her private servers. She can do what she wants, blah, blah, blah. It's nonsense, people. It's all nonsense. We have to hold our government officials, especially people in the FBI, accountable, right? I mean, I don't know if it's just me, but when I look at my government, I want to know I can trust them at least a little bit, right? And I know you should never trust the government. I get that. But these are people. These are humans. People who are in government right now doing these jobs, everything from the top down, everything from President Trump all the way down to your local DMV worker. They're all just people like you and me. They're our neighbors. They're our relatives. They're our brothers, our sisters, our children, our parents. These are just normal people. And of course, because of that, I do have some trust issues on top of it. But at the same time, they're fellow Americans. We should be able to trust them, right? In theory. So a phone belonging to FBI lawyer Lisa Page was restored to factory settings. So it was completely wiped on purpose. And there's no consequence. There's not even reporting on it. This is the most ridiculous thing. I mean, there's some reporting, but it's very little reporting. Very minor. I saw it in a couple of small areas. It was very hard to even cross-reference to make sure that everything was legit because no one's covering the damn story. Right? All right, now we're going to get on to our third story of the day. This one is a little, I don't know, this one bothers me a little bit more. So this man on your screen here, his name does say TJ Ducklow. That is not a mistype. That is his name, TJ Ducklo. It's an interesting name to say the least. He is one of the spokespersons for Joe Biden and his campaign currently running for president, right? Don't know if you saw this interview or not, but we're going to talk about it for a minute. And he did his job. I'm not mad at him for doing what he did or saying what he said. That's his job. His job is to deflect. His job is to redirect. His job is to change the subject. His job is to make issues go away, right? That's when you're a spokesperson, that's your job. You're a spin doctor. You are getting paid, and sometimes very well, to make sure that things that are issues stop being issues, right? And this is Washington. This is like the creme de la creme of spin doctors. These are the people who not only make a living, but make a life out of being able to lie, to omit, to change narratives, to plant seeds, right? This is what they do. I mean, I don't hate him for it. You know, it's what's the old saying? Don't hate the player, hate the game, right? He's just a player in the game. So it's Washington. It's politics. It's politicking. I get it. I get it, everybody. No big deal. No problem, right? Okay, so we're going to get into this a little bit more. Joe Biden's spokesman refuses to discuss whether former VP used teleprompter to answer questions from regular Americans, claiming it is a distraction. The way he did it was actually fairly impressive. So what happened is recently, we're going to play a little snippet of it. Joe Biden has had some issues, apparently, allegedly. You know, when you're watching him, it doesn't always seem like he's on point, right? Sometimes he almost seems like he's maybe a little tired or slightly distracted. I don't know. And people say, you know, it's dementia. People say it's all these things. And it could be. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is. I don't know. I'm not his doctor. I'm not with him. I'm not seeing him in person, right? But chances are there's something going on, whatever it might be. It might just be his age, catching up to him, and he's tired. I don't know. But he's been struggling when he's been interacting with people, and when he's been doing interviews or giving speeches. 9 times out of 10, he has a teleprompter. Okay, which again is not that unusual, right? You want to make sure you do a good job. I'm not against using a teleprompter. If you've ever seen some of my times when I'm trying to like do a speech or do something on film, like when I do on my other podcast, the Libertarian Hour, I sometimes will speak and do kind of like a prepared remark, and I'm half the time just looking down on a piece of paper reading it because I don't want to screw it up. I should have it up here on screen, so at least I'm kind of looking, but really what I should have is a teleprompter, right? I'm not against teleprompters. I think they're an amazing invention. That being said, Joe Biden seems to be relying on his a little too much. And in fact, he seems to be relying on it when he's just having a conversation with normal people. Like, if you're a politician, if you're running for office and you are getting interviewed or being asked questions by everyday regular people calling in on, whatever, Skype or Zoom or whatever it is they're using. I mean, I understand clearing questions first to make sure there's no surprises. That makes sense, right? But the fact that you would need a teleprompter to answer these, so obviously they're getting the questions ahead of time so they know what they're going to be asked. And they're probably allowed to ask whatever they want, but they have to be approved questions. And that's not, again, that's what they do during all these debates, and they've been doing it for years. It's nothing new. That part doesn't bother me, not in the slightest. What does bother me is the fact that he needs a teleprompter to answer a basic, simple question. Let's see. I'm not sure if it's the next one or not. It is.
And I would like to know, what will your administration do to help them give them that chance? Thank you.
Let's move it up here. There used to be a basic bargain in this country. Workers shared in the wealth their work helped create.
All right, did you catch it there? What happened is, now this is his beginning. So there was a question being asked, and at the end of it, when it was his turn to speak, he said, "Let's move it up here." When he was talking about the prompter, it wasn't where it needed to be. So whoever was running it wasn't doing a good job. And this is not the first time things like this have happened. The other day, and I might have played a video for it, or I might have just been talking about it, I can't remember, but I saw it like 5 different times on the internet where he was being interviewed and he was answering questions. I think it was with a reporter, or had been with reporters. And he was, actually, I think this time, I take it back. I think this time he was actually doing a prepared speech. I think. I'm not sure. Again, it was it was only a snippet of the piece always being played over, so I didn't see the full setup. But he was definitely at a podium speaking, and he might have been speaking to reporters, probably. But what happened is he said as he was reading what he was supposed to be saying, he literally gets to the end where he's supposed to stop, and on the teleprompter someone had wrote "end quote," and he read "end quote." And it wasn't like a quote unquote type thing. It was just he literally didn't even know when to stop when he's reading the teleprompter. It's kind of an issue for someone who might be our president. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Moving on. Moving on. I think that was the last one for that, right? So, okay, no, it does. We do have a little bit more. It says Joe Biden's spokesperson called claims that the Democratic nominee used a teleprompter in a recent Q&A distraction by the Trump campaign. And again, what else are you going to say? You got caught red-handed, right? You know he's having troubles. You know he needs a teleprompter. You know it's not a good thing, but you can't admit it, right? You don't want to admit something like that. And Bret Baier, unfortunately, and I usually like Bret Baier. I mean, I'm not a big Fox News guy, but I like Bret Baier, generally speaking. He does a pretty good job interviewing people. He's pretty honest. He's pretty upfront. It's not like he plays games, and he asks some pretty decent questions, generally speaking. So whenever he's on or whatever, I don't mind watching Bret Baier. Like, I mean, anyways, I'm not even going to dive into that one. But during this interview, he allows the interviewee to run the interview, which was a mistake on his part. He should have taken control of the situation, but he didn't. Right? He should have said, "Hey, I'm asking this question, not Trump's campaign. Please answer it." But he didn't. That being said, it should be the next slide. Oh, one more slide. The National Press Secretary told Fox News last night that the suggestions was straight from the Trump campaign talking points. Okay, let's listen.
Has Joe Biden ever used a teleprompter during local interviews or to answer Q&A with supporters?
Brett, we are not going to engage. This is straight from the Trump campaign.
Well, yeah, they're using it.
And what it does, Brett, is it's trying to distract the American people.
They're using it. They talk about it every day. Can you say yes or no?
That's because they talk about it every day, Brett, because they don't have a coherent
Well, you have
strategy.
an answer. Yes or no?
Brett, they talk about it every day because they don't have a coherent argument for why Donald Trump deserves re-election, deserves 4 more years. We know that he lied to the American people. We know that he has not shown leadership during this crisis, and they are desperate to throw anything they can against the wall to try to distract from that fact.
I understand, but you can't answer the question.
Brett, I am not going to allow the Trump campaign to funnel their questions through Fox News and get me to respond to that.
So right there, you can see Bret Baier did drop the ball. He should have been like, no, regardless of what the Trump campaign does, I'm the one asking this question. He should have pushed him. He didn't. But it was a wonderful maneuver, a nice little pivot by T.J. Ducklow there to avoid the question. Because how do you answer the question? You can tell he had a strategy, and he was waiting for his window. He heard a certain word and he ran with it. But yeah, it's kind of sad that this is the world we live in, unfortunately, right? It's sad that this is the way things have to be. It just shouldn't be that way, right? Oopsies. Sorry, my slideshow got messed up. Oh my goodness, that's just so disappointing on so many levels, right? I don't think anyone could disagree with that. It was very disheartening to see that that not only is Joe Biden struggling the way he is, but the fact that no one will talk about it, right? This is like, the 600-pound gorilla in the room or the elephant in the room. Like, we all know it's happening. And if you try to point it out, you're just a hateful person, right? You're just a racist or something for pointing out the fact that Joe is having issues and maybe he shouldn't be running for president. But obviously it's too late in the game to change him, right? Can't do it. And they wanted to put up an old white man to make it safe for people to vote. And then they wanted to put up Kamala Harris so people would vote for a more progressive person, even though I don't know how progressive she really is. If you look at her record as a prosecutor, it doesn't seem very progressive, but it doesn't mean that she didn't, hear the winds of change and isn't changing her tune, if you will. Maybe she is. I don't know. But it's just the idea that it's I don't want to say it's disgusting because it's not disgusting, but it's just sad. Right? Again, this is politics. We're used to it. If you're over the age of like if you're 30 and older, this is old news to you, right? You've seen this before to some extent. I mean, not this bad. Nobody's seen this bad 2020 in our lifetimes. I mean, things were bad in certain points in history, but almost no one who is alive today was alive back then, right? I mean, the average age is about, what, 75? So 75 years ago was like 1950s, 1950, a little earlier. So, you know what I mean? It's like 1945. So, chances are, you know, when this stuff was really bad in the 20s and 30s, most of those people aren't around. So for our lives, this is like the worst we've seen. 2020 is really messed up. And it doesn't help that the things are being covered the way that they are. They're being covered terribly. Absolutely terribly. And speaking of terrible, we're going to talk about this now. And I don't even need to tell you what this is. I'm going to bring up the picture, and I'm sure you're going to know instantly. So this is in remembrance of 9/11. Now, I don't know how old you are. I don't even know if you were alive when 9/11 happened. I was an adult. I lived on my own. I was married. I had one kid and one kid on the way. So the day of 9/11, God, okay, so I actually had the day off of work. It was a Tuesday, and I remember lying in bed and my wife waking me up, and she said, "Hey, something's on the news. We should watch this." And we actually, the way our bedroom was, I had a TV like on a dresser like right next to my bed. It was literally like 2 feet from me, 32-inch TV or whatever it was. And I'm watching it, and all of a sudden, I see a plane hit a tower, and people on the news were freaking out. And I'm thinking this is the replay of what was happening. Apparently, when that plane hit the tower, that was the second tower that got hit. And then after about 10 minutes of them talking about both towers getting hit now, then obviously people knew it was an issue. People knew it was an attack of some sort. People knew that it was, whatever it was. And things just went bad from there. I mean, not bad, but crazy from there. Things went insane from there. Things just went black from there for the rest of the day. It was just an absolute. I mean, if you're old enough to remember, right? It was something that it doesn't bring positive thoughts, really, but it is good to remember. And it's good never to forget. Never to forget what happened on 9/11. It's actually important that we never forget. So in New York, and this is something that most people didn't know about, but this is called the annual Tribute in Light. Those are the two beams they shine up every 9/11, right? It says that it was almost canceled after the 9/11 memorial and museum said that there was a virus risk to the installation crew. It actually was canceled. Luckily, they reversed it, right? Luckily, for everyone involved, luckily they reversed it. Now here's another shot of how the lights look from the ground up near where the lights are showing up, right by where the tower stood, right? And I've actually never been there, so I can't say, because I've heard good and bad both about what they've done with that area. I mean, it's up to them. It was their city. They can do whatever they want. I'm not going to criticize them. I'm not a native New Yorker. It's not up to me. But I have heard some people from New York, some natives who've been there, sometimes spent their whole entire life in New York, and they're not happy. I mean, the memorials are one thing, but I guess the whole Freedom Tower and everything, people are just not very happy with it. But that being said, that's a conversation for a different day. But yeah, so on 9/11, we try to remember the fact that, roughly 3,000, even more than 3,000, I think technically, Americans died in one day, in one fell swoop. And that's not even counting the countless people who died year after year after year after year from the illnesses and that they, and the diseases that they endured from what happened on 9/11 and for them trying to fight as first responders. Many people had huge breathing issues. People died of cancer and asbestos and COPD. There were terrible things done to people who were trying to be these first responders. So yeah. It says tributes paid to those who lost their lives have been altered this year with restrictions in place due to COVID-19. And that makes perfect sense. I don't think anyone has a problem with that, to be honest with you. That's okay. It's okay that they have people are doing what they need to do. Light tributes to September 11th victims shown across America as commemorations begin on the 19th anniversary of the terror attacks. And now they show one in Washington. This was in Washington, D.C. And then there's another. This one's also in Washington, but at the Pentagon. Or actually, it's in Maryland. I don't think it's in Washington. But this is, and for those of you who do not know, you should know. I'm surprised if you don't. But there were 4 planes involved. There was 2 in the Twin Towers. There was 1 at the Pentagon, and there was 1 that was down in Pennsylvania, Flight 93, United 93, I believe it was. And that was actually from all known reports, that plane was headed for the White House. But thanks to the brave souls of that flight, it never got there. So again, some of you may know this, some of you may not, but this is a wonderful time to remember what real sacrifice is, what real pain is, what happens, right? We're going through a painful time with COVID. I'm not making light of that. 150, 160, 170,000, whatever numbers is that you want to accept. People, 100,000 people, 170,000 people have died, right? And that is painful. And that's horrible for those families and for those people. I couldn't imagine what it would be like to lose someone to an illness, especially something that might be preventable or avoidable, right? But this is something different. 9/11 is different. 9/11 is something that happened, and it didn't just happen to New Yorkers, it happened to all Americans. I'm so old, I remember the broadcast where people around the world were crying in the streets looking at this. I mean, all over. There were people being interviewed in countries where people barely even spoke English, but they could get out the words, "Today I'm an American. Today I mourn with my brothers and sisters in America." It was a beautiful time to be alive. 9/11 was terrible, but 9/12 was good. And let's maybe remember that. Let's maybe remember that COVID is terrible right now, but one day we'll be out of it. One day it'll be good. Right now, the protests and the riots are terrible, but one day it'll be good. Right now, everything going on with politics and the way that politics are destroying and controlling our lives is terrible. But one day it could be good. Just always keep that in mind. And whatever we do, let's never forget 9/11. Ever. Never. I don't care if it's 10 years from now, 50 years from now, 100 years from now. Let's never forget what happened. Every year, talk about it. Every year, think about it. Every year, remember it. Commemorate it. However you need to. With your friends, your family, speak about it. Teach it to your kids. Talk about it with your coworkers. Never let it go. Not ever. Do not forget. All right. And with that said, we are actually coming to an end of another week here on the Daily Dairy 30. Of course, it's a show that airs only Monday through Friday. We take the weekends off, but I do another show on Saturdays. That show is actually called we'll get there in a second. Right here. That show is called the Libertarian Hour. Sorry, it's a little, so tomorrow's Libertarian Hour at 1 p.m. Now, tomorrow is going to be an interesting one. Not that they're all not interesting, they all are, but right now we are in the midst of a series called Myths and Misunderstandings within the Libertarian Party. And we've kind of been taking the top 10 issues that the Libertarian Party has chosen to talk about on their website under on the issues section. And this week, on week 8 out of 10, we're talking about civil liberties. And it's gonna be a great show tomorrow. I guarantee it. We've got everything set up already, and I already know you're gonna enjoy it. So please, if you can, join us live tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, or adjust for wherever you might live in the world. And if you cannot join us live, that's okay too. I understand everyone's busy, everyone's got lives, but please watch us on replay. And speaking of that, on this channel, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook, whatever it might be, just make sure you like and comment and subscribe. And if you have any type of notification selection to make sure to hit that bell, because it's going to make sure that you can be notified when new videos post, because they post 6 days plus a week. Sometimes we do specials on Sundays, especially in the Libertarian Hour. Like last weekend, we did an amazing show. We did a roundtable discussion talking about what is libertarianism. I had some wonderful guests on from all over the country. Some of us everyday Joes, and some of us even political candidates. So if you haven't seen that one, go back and watch it. But yeah. So we are at the end of the week, everybody. And I think you know what that means. That means, actually, another thing too, I want to remind you real quickly, as we always do every week, try to do it every Friday. We do have a website that you can go to. It's thekevinleeshow.com, like it says on the screen there, thekevinleeshow.com. Here on this is going to be a central hub of all the things that we have. It has listings of all our podcasts. It has all the audio streams and recent episodes. It has all the video streams and recent episodes. You can even listen to us live when we broadcast live. You can listen to us. You can watch us live when we broadcast live. So It's a great place to go there to get more information about us. If you want to support us in any way, there's links for that there. There's all our social media links for Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and YouTube and Twitch and you name it. It's there. So go check it out. Do not forget. All right. So that brings us to our new. Oops. Did not mean to hit that. Not sure why that happened. Okay. Oh, you know what? I made a boo-boo. All righty. I thought I had this all set up perfect today, and I made a mistake, peoples. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Please forgive me. So what happened is, here we go. So here we go. Let's just blow it up like this. You don't need to see me at all. You can see this big, right? We are going to... okay, we're just going to leave it like that. So this is our new custom. We call this the happy ending. I swear to God, one of these times I'm going to get it right. I will. Just watch, please. This is something I thought was fun and funny. So why don't you go ahead and watch it? And I'm going to be out here. And if you can join us tomorrow, that's amazing. And if not, then we will see you guys next week. All right? See you then.